Excuse me, you're the Crown Prosecutor, Mr. Reese?
Guilty. Senior Sergeant Croydon, please call me Simon.
Tom, look, I've just had a call from the DPP. Apparently your instructing solicitor's been involved in an accident.
Oh, is he all right?
As far as I know. Anyway, I've made available Senior Constable Maggie Doyle. She's our local police prosecutor.
Oh, if you feel she can handle it.
I'm sure she's up to it. She's on her way over now. She's just organising the jury list. Sally.
Oh.
Yeah, this is Sally Downey. She's acting for the accused. Have you met Simon Reese?
No, only over the phone. I'm pleased to meet you.
And you, Sally? Pleading guilty?
My client is still pleading self-defence.
After disemboweling a man in his own bed. You're legal aid, aren't you?
Yes.
Well, good luck.
God, does it look that obvious?
Well, you did pick a real doozy for your first murder trial.
Tell me about it. Sounds like old Jack White was the most popular man in Mount Thomas.
Well, he was always prepared to dress up in the Santa suit. He was...
Morning. Oh, morning. Yes, people think the sun shone out of him.
I'm not starting to have doubts about your client, are you?
Tom, she's entitled to plead self-defence.
Sally, she killed our Santa.
Talk about being thrown in the deep end.
Max, you'll handle it.
But this is the Supreme Court.
It's an open and shut case. You almost cut the guy in half. What, you're a bit nervous about the big city QC, are you?
Well, I have heard that he is a bit of a heavy.
No. You'll be fine.
Please, call me Simon.
Simon.
Heard good things about you, Maggie.
Thank you. That's me.
Pretty horrifying business.
Yeah, scary stuff, isn't it?
All rise.
Even in the big bad city, I rarely get to prosecute a killing as savage as this.
Certainly shocked Mount Thomas. Here she comes now.
That's our monster?
Certainly looks nice enough, doesn't she?
Boss!
You,
What's this Simon Reese like?
he's a bit of a hotshot, isn't he? That's what I heard.
I've heard he's a bit of a spunk. Here,
nervous,
just
are
I'll
we?
do it.
So, who's in first?
Me, I'm up first, then McKinley, then your good self.
When I spent half my time outside courtrooms waiting to be called.
Yes, mate, tell me about it. You hang around for a day, then they adjourn it for a year.
Yeah, this one won't be adjourned.
Gerald Arthur Clancy.
Challenge.
Anna Mae Farrington.
Challenge.
Old hippie. She'd have found Charles Manson not guilty.
Donna Edwina Price.
See her eyeball, Louisa? She'll convict.
Christine Bridget Riley.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. As the jury, it will be your responsibility to decide on the facts.
Hey, guess what? Adam said Chris is on the jury.
Yes, I saw her going in.
Means we can get all the goss then. When it's all over. By the way, Mick Dodds' dad's on the jury. Mrs. Harper's on the jury. They're all oldies.
Well, there you go. You want shrewd judgment, you get us old fogies.
Yeah, but it's not going to help Louisa. She's a Filipino. That lot would be a bit racist.
Shouldn't affect their verdict.
Are you kidding? Did you hear how they used to bag her when he first brought her back from Manila?
They'll decide on the facts, Dash, and on that evidence you'll get life.
Shouldn't you be getting over there?
There'll be a while with Mick yet.
When we arrived at the house, Mrs. White wouldn't get out of the car, so Constable McKinley went inside, and then she called out for me to follow.
And you escorted Mrs. White to the bedroom?
Yes?
Can you tell the court what you found?
We found the semi-naked body of Mr. Jack White lying in bloodied bedclothes on his back.
Lying in bloodied bedclothes on his back. What was the condition of the body?
He had a gaping wound across his stomach. Jack White had been disemboweled.
So, finding Mrs. White fleeing from the scene with Mr. White's money and soaked in Mr. White's blood,
Objection,
did you...
Your Honour. Mr. Reese hasn't established whose blood it was.
Sustained. The jury will disregard those remarks. Mr. Reese?
If Your Honour pleases, we will establish whose blood Mrs. White was covered in through a later witness. No more questions. But they heard it.
Mrs. Downey?
Sergeant, you say you found Mrs. White in the driver's seat of her husband's car.
Yes?
Can you describe her condition?
She seemed dazed and in shock.
Was she injured?
She had cuts and bruises on her hands and face from the smashed windscreen.
So it's possible that the blood you observed on her clothing could have come from her own wounds.
The blood was dry. It was in big brownish patches. It was also on the suitcase, which had the money in it.
Sergeant, did Mrs. White make any admissions as to Mr. White's wounds?
She said it was an act of God.
What did she say exactly?
Your Honour, can we ask questions?
I'm afraid not. As I said, you may take notes, but you are here to listen and make a decision on the facts. Is that understood?
There's one on every jury.
Mrs. White, are you unwell?
Your Honour...
I think we might take this opportunity to break for lunch.
All rise.
Oh, don't misunderstand me. I'm a staunch defender of the jury system.
As long as you think that they'll convict.
Oh, not necessarily. The jury represents the community, but some people are too generous to want to convict, which is unfair to the rest of the community because there are monsters out there.
So basically you want a jury who've all had bad days with chips on their shoulders.
There you go.
Perfect.
Finish yet?
No, mate, they've still got me in there.
Keep together, please. Ah, must be nice to have lunch shouted for you.
It's your own pub.
I see.
Why 12 jurors?
So, how's our hot shot QC going, mate?
Oh, he keeps it rolling along. He's one of those blokes that repeat everything for the jury, you know.
It's a fascinating area.
Senior, excuse us. Would you care to join Sergeant Schultz and I for lunch?
If you were shouting, sounds good.
Sorry, there's a few details that I have to run through, actually, Maggie. If that's all right with you gentlemen.
Yeah, go for your life.
He's an old courtroom charmer, isn't it? I think it's because he wears a wig, you know. You coming?
Yeah, Mr. Van
So, did you find out what was wrong with Louisa White?
Yeah, can I just put you on...
Probably nerves. She's recovering at the moment. She's lying down.
But I've got some farmer on the phone reporting that a dog attacked his sheep.
McKinley, it's none of our business. The council has a ranger to deal with things like that.
Evil Eric. No, you see, I told him that we would come
It's
out
in
there...
the phone book.
He reckons the ranger's hopeless. Now, apparently the dog comes from a farm near his property. It's a Rottweiler.
McKinley, I'm not interested.
Boss, he says if we don't do something, he's going to shoot it. He's on hold. Line 2.
Yeah, all right.
Had you ever heard of Mr. White threatening his wife?
No, not to my knowledge.
Your Honour, I must object to any attempt to besmirch the fine character of the deceased.
I wasn't, Your Honour, and I object to any attempt to sneak in oblique character references flattering the deceased.
Yeah, but did Jack White ever hurt her?
Excuse me, you cannot question the witness, madam.
I'm sorry. I just wanted a clarification. What if she isn't asking the right questions?
If you have questions, you may put them through your foreperson. But these interruptions do not assist us. Understood?
One on every jury. And in the bedroom, what did you first see?
Blood. There was blood everywhere.
How much blood?
A lot.
Thanks, could you? Here are exhibits 1 to 5 taken at the crime scene by the police photographer. Is this what you saw, Constable?
Yes.
And would you say that this was one of the most horrific murder scenes that you have ever attended?
One of.
I offer these up for the jury to see, Your Honour. No more questions.
Mrs. Downey?
Constable McKinley, in your opinion, is it possible that these photos reflect the aftermath of a violent struggle?
Oh, it's possible.
Objection, Your Honour. The man was asleep.
Your Honour, I'm trying to show that it's highly possible that these photos depict a tragic killing conducted in self-defence.
No, I'm sorry, Mrs. Downey. I'd prefer that both counsel refrain from these bald assertions. Could you confine yourselves to questioning the witness, please?
Yes, Your Honour. Constable, in your opinion, could these photos indicate that Mr. White had initially been the attacker?
Oh, objection, Your Honour. Mr. White is the victim here. This is fantasy.
Sustained. Mrs. Downey, please.
Detective Hasham. Forensic has told us that the blood from Mrs. White's dress, the suitcase, and from the bed sheets matched that of Mr. White's blood group.
Correct.
This razor-sharp knife, did you establish where it came from?
Yes, it was purchased 2 weeks earlier from St David's Rural Stores by Mrs. White.
And you located fingerprints on this knife?
Yes, they were identified as belonging to a Mrs. White.
Thank you, Detective. No more questions.
Mrs. Downey?
Detective, were there any other fingerprints on the knife?
There were some smudged traces and partial prints, yes.
Were they consistent with Mr. White's fingerprints?
Well, they couldn't be identified.
Well, even if they were, might it be that he grasped the knife in an effort to protect himself?
It's possible.
Your Worship, can we view the scene of the crime?
Yes, well, that seems an appropriate time for that. And may I ask where you learnt your legal procedure?
I read detective stories.
The wrong ones. I'm addressed as Your Honour.
The body was lying in the bed here.
Yep.
Head toward the wall.
Yep.
If the jurors could just observe, please, and try to remember the details. Remember, you're here simply to view the crime scene.
Try to picture it, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. White was lying in bed, on his back, when the first blow came. The knife stabbed deep into his lower abdomen and then ripped to the other side.
But Mrs. White did claim that she was trying to protect herself.
Mrs. White seemed confused.
Your Honour, I must
Your Honour,
object.
Mrs. White clearly was confused.
please.
Why won't you let her finish? The wife could have been attacked by Jack White.
Silence, or I'll hold you in
He probably
contempt.
did attack her.
Oh, Your Honour, please!
Lucky attacked his first wife.
Madam, you are in contempt.
Jack White was a murderer.
Officer, remove this woman from the court. Jury will ignore that outburst, and the court will be temporarily adjourned.
All rise.
So you believe this Donna Price woman?
Well, I believe she believes it.
That doesn't make her right. Look, Jack's first wife was murdered by some drifter working out there. The bloke was convicted.
Trent Driscoll.
Ah, you've done some research.
Apparently Donna does community work. She writes to prisoners. Met Driscoll through jail visits and he's proposed to her.
Oh, yeah, one of those.
Don, would you look into it for me?
Sally, we're prosecuting, for God's sake.
Yes, but if what Donna said was right, it breathes life into Louisa's claim that she stabbed him in self-defence. Now, I know how it looks, but, you know, I don't think Louisa was lying. She's too naive.
Boss. They're going back in.
Oh.
Look, we're going to have to interview this Donna Price about the contempt matter anyway. Don't get your hopes up.
Thank you.
Of course, juries have their share of crazies, just as the community does. Open any newspaper. May I ask you a favour?
Sure.
Would you have dinner with me tonight?
Actually, I am.
Hey, I just want to say thank you. Stepping in, doing such a good job with such short notice.
Well, why not?
We're going to have to look into this Price woman's allegations.
Well, I got plenty of allegations already.
It was 15 years ago. Do we have to go check out every wacko story?
It's our job to look into
Have you
it.
finished those charge sheets yet?
Well, since Judge Williams has locked her up for contempt, we've got no choice. We're going to have to look into it. Now, this Driscoll had a record of violence. Real nutter, apparently.
All right. I'll get on to homicide and get him to send a brief up.
I vaguely remember that story. All the older kids at school kept talking about it. Now, apparently he raped her and killed her on the kitchen floor.
He was caught trying to flog some jewellery he'd stolen.
Well, it's a bit weird, really. First wife's murdered, then the second wife stabs him.
So, where do we find this particular nutter?
I'll ring prison squad, find out where he's slotted.
I couldn't help myself. I believe Louisa White was acting in self-defence.
What, defending herself against Jack White?
Yes.
And your fiancé, Trent Driscoll, told you that. Is that correct?
Yes. Look, he stole from them, it's true. And he's paying for that. But Trent swears he didn't rape or kill White's wife.
Well, with all due respect, he would say that, wouldn't he?
I believe him.
Well, 12 jurors didn't.
Do you dream? I dream that a miracle is going to happen. That the real killer will confess and Trent will be released. I pray for his deliverance. Then I'm called in for jury duty. And the victim is the husband of the woman that Trent was convicted of murdering. What would you do?
You should have declared any previous associations.
I was meant to be on that jury. This is a chance to get justice for Trent.
Look, you wouldn't be the first lonely woman to be taken in by a long-term prisoner.
I'm not a fool, Senior
I'm not
Sergeant.
suggesting that you are.
I'm not just some emotionally needy woman. Trent swears he's telling the truth. And I believe him.
Well, I'm afraid we need more.
Jack White wasn't all he seemed. Trent knows Jack was a wife basher.
You told Mr. Reese that in your role as forensic pathologist, this was the most severe wound you had ever seen.
Yes.
Please tell us how long you've held this position.
About 6 years.
Ah, I see. Now, with a knife As sharp as this. Couldn't a man as big as Mr. White have virtually disemboweled himself by falling on the knife after a struggle?
It's difficult to say.
Big man falling forward on this knife?
It may be possible.
Thank you.
But if Mr. White fell on the knife, wouldn't he have been lying on the floor?
Well, that would seem likely.
And where was the body lying?
On the bed, according to the photographs.
On the bed? In what position?
Lying on his back.
What, as if he could have been stabbed in his sleep?
No, objection, Your Honour. There's no evidence Mr. White was asleep. Mr. Reese is calling for guesswork.
I think the jury can make up their own minds on that. I'll allow the question.
You say you heard Jack's wife crying out when you worked there?
Lots of times. She just copped it too, never said boo to anyone.
Keen to get an early release, are you?
Look, I never raped her, I never killed her. I took some jewellery. When I left, she was laying there crying, but she was alive.
You expect us to believe that Jack White bashed his wife?
More than bashed her. Old hypocrite strutting around like the Good Samaritan.
So why don't you tell anyone?
Why would I? None of my business. Look, ask the daughter, she'll tell you.
Stephanie, she would have been about 10 years old at the time.
Old enough to speak up if she was questioned.
Look, I didn't know him very well, but I always thought the Whites had an all-right marriage.
What does that mean? Maybe Sally should talk to this daughter.
If we can find her. I haven't heard of her for years.
It's just uncorroborated allegations, Dash. This bloke's a convicted murderer.
Righto, homicide sent up the brief. Pretty straightforward. Can't see any holes in it.
Have a look.
So the evidence supports the conviction?
Seems to. His prints are all over the place.
Here we go. Stephanie White was at boarding school at the time of the murder. She didn't respond to questioning and was discounted from the trial proceedings.
So I'm glad to hear that. She would have been only 10 years old.
So where's the DNA report?
DNA testing wasn't standard procedure back then.
Not until the early 90s, so.
The original investigation would have got his blood type from Driscoll's semen and blood sample.
Which was a match. He had opportunity and motive. He's caught with the cash. It was pretty conclusive.
Blood group O positive. I think I'm O positive. That's not conclusive. There are a lot of people with O positive.
Have you heard the other evidence at all?
Well, what was Jack White's blood group?
Well, I got it in my notes here, haven't I? Pathologist report. Here we go.
O positive.
Oh.
You see, his could have matched as well as this Driscoll guy's.
Hang on, one step at a time. If Jack White's first wife was assaulted, she never reported it here. Have to be on record somewhere. Try medical records. Helen White, she would have probably seen a local doctor.
OK, but the doctors are going to want a warrant before they give us anything from their records.
Assuming there's anything to give.
So should we be passing this on to Maggie and Simon Reese?
Why do that? You just weaken the case against Louisa on some coincidence about the blood type.
We are trying to get a conviction, Dash.
Well, I would describe Louisa White as a very timid person. She's far from home in an alien culture. She seemed extremely isolated and possibly depressed.
And in a relationship with a much older man. As her doctor, was there any indication she might have been trapped in an abusive relationship?
Objection, Your Honour. Counsel cannot just slander the victim.
Your Honour, I'm seeking to explain how Mrs. White could have been driven to such a desperate act as to kill her husband.
I must object to any attempt to lay a false impression before the jury.
Are you seeking to raise a battered wives syndrome defence?
Yes, I am, Your Honour, in an emotional as well as a physical sense.
Dr. Hamilton, have you detected any direct evidence of assaults on Mrs. White?
No, but I've never been given the opportunity to give her a full medical examination, Your Honour.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. Any more questions, Mrs. Downey?
No.
Mr. Reese?
Dr. Hamilton, what qualifications do you hold in psychiatry?
None. I'm just a humble GP.
Never practiced as a psychiatrist. So your opinions as to Mrs. White's state of mind would be as humble as mine.
I object to a GP. A patient's state of mind is as apparent as her temperature.
Mrs. White, is she ill?
Sorry?
Orderly, call an ambulance.
A lot of blood. I think she's having a miscarriage.
Sally, I'm sure she'll be fine. Zoe will take good care
Poor
of her.
woman, of all the places to miscarry.
You didn't know, did you?
What?
You didn't even know she was pregnant.
You really don't give a damn, do you?
Sally.
Oh.
Drink? Come on, we're pulling the pin for the day anyway.
Sure.
You know, you could have had a brilliant career in the courtroom if you wanted.
You think so?
Yeah. I'd like to help you.
Thank you, but I'm sort of happy where I am.
A miscarriage? Sally didn't mention Louisa White was pregnant.
I don't think she knew.
Terrific. How do you defend the client from hell?
There's no Stephanie White on the electoral roll, not a trace of her.
Tried the hospital, they might have a record.
Stephanie Wilson, changed her name by deed poll.
How'd you work that one out?
Jack White's solicitor. Stephanie responded to a notice about the will in the St David's Tribune.
Yeah, the will is a relative, eh?
Boss, I've spoken to her. She sounds pretty edgy, but she's willing to talk to you.
Good, I'll give her a call. Thanks.
Boss, I've got a farmer on the phone, Mr. Vandenberg, about a vicious dog.
Mr. Vandenberg, you can handball that one to McKinley. She knows all about that.
Answer. Did Maggie come back with you?
No, she went somewhere with Simon Reese, I think.
Yes, the dog.
She sounds totally untrustworthy to me.
She is just very frightened, Tom. Right from the outset, it's been difficult to get her to trust me. I mean, she feels everybody hates her here.
I wonder why. Sally, she killed our Santa. Every year there'd be poor old Jack perspiring away in the Santa suit up at the RSL. He was a good, charitable bloke. That's what people remember.
Did you talk to Trent Driscoll?
PJ and Nick did. Driscoll claims that he heard Jack bashing his wife. I'm hoping that the daughter can verify.
Well, she didn't have much to say around the time of the trial.
Come on, she was about 10 years old.
Yes, and pretty traumatic. Do you know, the funny thing is, Louisa is adamant she knows nothing about Jack having a daughter.
Oh, she's changed her name. To Wilson, Stephanie Wilson. I've got all her details if you want to arrange a meeting.
What, is she in Mount Thomas?
Oh, she's just out of town. She's staying with friends until the will's sorted out.
So if Jack bashed his first wife, then it is possible that he bashed Louisa. Do you think I should subpoena this Driscoll?
He's a convicted murderer. Simon Reese would make mincemeat of him.
Oh, yes. Tom, would you speak to Louisa White with me?
What for?
Well, she's obviously holding something back on me.
Sally, I'm supposed to be
Yes, I
prosecuting
know, but
the
what
woman.
if the woman has been victimised? Justice, Tom. Justice.
Mrs. White, please. It would help if you could answer some questions. Mrs. White, did you have much contact with Jack's daughter?
What daughter?
Stephanie. Didn't you meet her?
No, I don't know of any daughter.
And he never mentioned her?
Yes, look, I know, mate, but maybe we do need to look at this Driscoll guy again.
Are you working back?
Hello, where have you been?
What?
Hang on, look, can I get back to you? Ta.
I've just been going over some evidence with Simon Reese.
Well, speaking of evidence, there's a possibility Jack White may have been a wife basher.
Oh, says who?
Says the guy convicted of the murder of Jack's first wife.
The guy who was convicted of the murder.
Max, don't worry about it. Dinner. How about some dinner with me?
He's buying me dinner.
Smarmy bastard.
Well, what would you do if you were in my situation?
Order up big.
Maggie?
In here, Simon.
He's here.
All set?
Yeah, you've met PJ, Simon?
Yeah, hi. How are you, Simon?
Sorry to steal her away. We've got to put in some overtime.
No, it's fine. Understandable. Well, don't work too hard, eh?
Absolutely.
See ya.
Tell that Asian bitch she'll get what she deserves.
Who's this? Who's this? Where's the guard?
Send him for coffee.
Someone's made threatening phone calls about this woman.
You might like to know we just took some x-rays. Do you want to hear or not? She's got multiple rib fractures. Like a kicked-in bird cage. They're healed now.
How old?
Since she's been with Jack White.
Stephanie, I'm Tom Croydon. We spoke on the phone. This is Sally Downey.
Yes, hello. I'm defending your stepmother in the trial.
Not my stepmother.
Well, I was hoping you could assist me with some information about your father.
I don't know anything about that woman.
No, just a few questions. I'm sure this must have been a traumatic time for you.
Look, let's just get on with this. I don't feel comfortable about you being here.
We could always go back to the station. I can run you back.
Don't want to leave my dog.
We won't be very long.
Look, I was at boarding school a lot of the time, so maybe I can't help you.
No, I think you can. Stephanie, can you tell us why you changed your surname?
Didn't like the old one?
Why?
I just didn't, okay?
Now, Louisa's not saying very much, but she claims she attacked your father in self-defense. Did your father ever hurt you?
Stephanie, I understand that Jack White was sometimes abusive with women. Look, if you don't speak up, an innocent young woman's going to take the rap. Can you live with that?
Don't you lay a guilt trip on me.
Nobody is accusing
If you don't speak up, then you are guilty.
Look, he hurt everybody. From when I was a kid, I remember him belting the hell out of Mum. And God, she just let him. I just let him. What else could I do? I was just a kid. And now somebody else is paying for it.
You mean Louisa?
Trent Driscoll. My father killed my mum.
You witnessed it?
No, but I know it.
Something's changed, eh? The kid's remembered something, hasn't she?
We're not here to discuss that, Mr. Driscoll.
Now, when the autopsy on Helen White was done, semen traces in the body and blood samples and her fingernails were taken.
Yeah?
Well, legislation has since passed a new form of testing, a more accurate one involving DNA.
Yeah, I know. I ought to be allowed to do one.
Well, all you have to do is sign the consent form, sir, and we'll take it from there.
Now, bloody time.
So blood and sperm samples have been sent off to forensics. We just have to see what they come up with, that's all.
So Jack White could have murdered his first wife?
Oh, it's looking likely. Have you mentioned anything this to Simon Rees?
No, I haven't. I was just thinking that maybe I should see if he'll reduce the charge to manslaughter.
Absolutely not. The woman murdered the old guy in his sleep.
But if there are extenuating
It is
circumstances...
not our role to assist the defence. It is our duty to prosecute Louisa White tomorrow with the full weight of the law.
Simon, you don't understand. Sally Downey has been interviewing...
No. What I understand is that it's time for a drink. How about it?
Sorry, but I'm on duty. I'll see you in court tomorrow.
I should like to thank our jury for their patience. Dr. Hamilton, you've previously been sworn.
Yes, Your Honour.
Mrs. Downey, your witness.
Dr. Hamilton, while treating Mrs. White over the adjourned period, what injuries did you observe?
Recent x-rays showed multiple bone fractures to her ribcage.
Broken ribs? How recent?
I would estimate in the last couple of years.
The period of Mrs. White's marriage?
Yes, that's right.
Can you identify these x-rays?
Yes, these are Mrs. White's.
I'd like to enter these as exhibits E and F. Now, as a GP, have you seen similar rib fractures before?
Yes, I've seen similar fractures in cases of repeated domestic violence.
You mean wife bashing?
Yes, that's another name for it.
Thank you. No more questions.
Mr. Rees?
It's possible Mrs. White rides horses at the property. Couldn't these fractures have been caused by falling from a horse?
It's possible.
Entirely possible.
Possible.
Thank you. No more questions.
You may step down. Mrs. Downey?
I'd like to call Stephanie Wilson, Your Honour.
He often hit Mum and me. When he'd get angry, he'd belt the hell out of her till she begged him to stop. And kick her. And other things.
What other things?
I had a pet dog. Pixie. a little poodle. She used to bark a lot. One night Dad freaked out and threw petrol on her and set her alight. And he held me out there, so I had to keep watching her burning. Dragging her way around the yard until she died. I was 8. And Mum sent me to boarding school after that.
No more questions, Your Honour.
Sent off to boarding school when you were 8. Didn't you attend a number of boarding schools?
A few.
4? And you were expelled from 3 of these boarding schools.
I had some problems, yes.
You were expelled for drug use.
Yes.
Is it a fact that you had convictions for possession of drugs, marijuana and cocaine?
Because of what he did.
And did you attempt to set fire to 2 of these schools?
Objection! Is this relevant, Your Honour? Unless Mr. Reese is trying to show just how emotionally damaging Jack White
Your
has
Honour,
been.
I am questioning both her memory and her motive.
I'll allow the question.
I sometimes set some fires, yes.
I see. You've said you've never met Louisa White. You've had no contact with your father for some years.
I hated him!
So you are unable to say that your father ever treated Louisa White in anything but a decent and loving manner.
He didn't have any love in him.
Oh, no more questions, Your Honour.
This is very irregular.
She won't listen to me, Tom. She won't give evidence.
That's her right.
No, Tom, she has to. She has to go up there and tell the jury what her life was really like with him. It's your only hope, Louisa.
No, I can't. I'm too ashamed.
Why?
Mrs. White, look, I really think you should take Miss Downey's advice.
Why?
I think you should tell the court the truth about what happened.
If you don't tell them, how can they possibly understand?
You've sworn to tell the truth, Louisa.
Sorry. You ready?
Good luck.
Thanks.
Boss, look, that farmer, Mr. Vandenberg, just rang, and I was wondering if I could go out there and check out the
McKinley, it's the Rangers' problem now, not ours.
Evil Eric's not going to consider the situation with any justice. He'll just shoot it.
McKinley?
Well, someone's got to defend the poor dog.
And you met through this agency in Manila?
Yes. He was good to me then. He seemed like a nice man.
And when did he begin abusing you?
When he brought me over here.
How often did he hit you?
All the time.
But still you stayed?
Yes, because each month I was able to send some money to my family in Manila.
Didn't you ever try to run away?
Yes, of course I tried. I'd pack my bag, but I couldn't leave because he'd put traps all over the house.
You ungrateful thief of bitch!
No!
Try it again and I'll kill you!
Well, regardless of how you say you were treated, and poor old Jack White isn't here to give us his version today, the fact remains that you admit you stabbed your husband to death.
Yes.
While he was sleeping.
Yes.
But you show no shame or remorse for what you've done.
Yes, I am ashamed. I am ashamed. Before God. Because I lost my baby.
You're not having it.
Please.
I don't want any half-breed mongrel. Drink it. Drink it. Drink it. Come on, down the hatch. Come on, down the hatch. Down the hatch. Good girl, down the hatch.
You mean your miscarriage?
No, my first baby. And now God is punishing me because I lost my new baby in this room.
And your role here is crucial. You must decide on the facts. And it is your role simply to decide which version of the facts it is you believe. Not on the law, not on emotions. You are here as the final arbiters of the facts. Facts which prove beyond reasonable doubt that this woman, in cold blood, set out to murder her husband.
The prosecutor said you're not here to decide on emotions. Well, he's wrong. Because the emotions are part of the facts. If, after years of abuse, Louisa White finally struck back, you cannot look on that moment of high emotion without considering what drove her to this desperate act. Her fear that he would destroy her unborn child. A fear which was justified. He'd forced her to
Remind you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, that you are here to decide whether Louisa White is guilty or not guilty of this crime. You are not here to determine whether Jack White did or did not deserve to die.
How long's the jury been in it?
About 3.5 hours now.
Yes, sir. Can I help you?
Need to renew me gun licence.
Oh, actually, the procedure's changed this year, so we can't help you. But, do you have the number for the Firearms Registry Office?
No.
I'll just grab it for you. Sorry, what was your name again?
Mr. Vandenberg, Frank Vandenberg.
They're going back in.
Boss, that's him. That's the farmer who's been threatening the dog.
None of your business, McKinley.
I'm sorry, Your Honour, but we're having difficulty reaching an agreement.
May I remind you how much time and trouble has been taken here over the past few days? And if there's any possibility of reaching an agreement, I would ask you to go back, examine the facts again, and see if you can come to a decision.
I hate this part.
That judge is going to go for a guilty verdict.
Well, he probably just wants to get out of there.
What happened?
Nothing. False alarm.
Boss? Stephanie's friend rang. That farmer went around and shot her dog.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honour.
And what is that verdict?
Not guilty.
Well, thought the best to hope for was guilty with a light sentence, but not guilty. Oh! I couldn't have done it without you, Tom. Thank you.
Well, truth be known, I'm not feeling too proud of my involvement. Well, she clearly murdered the man.
Tom, the jury made the decision, not us.
Yes, but they only considered why she did it, not what she actually did. Don't get me wrong, I'm very happy, that you pulled it off.
Pulled it off? All right, Tom, tell me this. If you were on the jury, what would you have done?
Hey, excuse me. Louisa White's here, and she's brought Stephanie with her.
Oh, God, Stephanie's dog.
What?
Oh.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No, please. Thanks, Sally. She's the one who stuck to her guns.
Maybe your prayers were answered, Louisa.
Yes, it's true. And I think it's a sign from God. I must go back to the Philippines.
What'll you do with the farm?
That's really up to Stephanie.
Oh, I couldn't live there. The farm's yours. You can do what you want with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's okay. Look, I'd really like to get back to my friend's place, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll run you back there now if you like.
I'll take you for a coffee. Okay. Good.
My
Mate, the amount of paperwork involved in reopening Driscoll's conviction...
Maggie back yet, mate?
Would
Yeah, I
dawn
think
on
she's
lesser
going
man.
out again, Peter.
Fortunately, I love paperwork.
Well, it looks like Driscoll might get a pardon, eh?
And a hefty compensation payout if he's lucky.
Oh, pity you can't charge a dead man with rape and murder. Simon Reese was spewing, wasn't he? Hated to lose.
Yeah, well, I thought he was full of it.
Oh, hi. Unbelievable bloody verdict. Total waste of effort. Except for meeting you, of course. Come in for a drink?
I thought you admired the jury system.
12 empty heads.
But they felt sorry for her.
For a woman like Louisa, oh, please. I've been to Manila. I've seen them writhing in bars. They're not like our women.
Well, I'm off.
Oh.
Good luck, Simon.
Oh, thanks for dropping these off.
No drama.
Hey. I'm going to kiss goodbye.
I don't think so.
Come on.
No, I don't think so.
Come on.
Mwah.
Hello there. Everything all right?
Yeah, couldn't be better.
You want a lift?
Got my car.
No, I think you should leave the car.
Thank you.